Hello and what is going on today, guys? Tomcat here and welcome back to Forza Horizon 4, where in this video we are going to be doing some cheap car shopping on the auction house. And if I do say so myself, because this video is post commentary, it's not live commentary, we did find some pretty insane cars for under 40,000 credits. So I had my parameters set at S1 class with a max buyout of 40,000 credits, and I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know right now that if you're not on the auction house looking for these cars, you need to, because you can find some insane deals on cars on the auction house, and just cars that either have, you know, really crazy tunes on them already, or you can get like a fully built car for a fraction of what you could get from the auction house, or not the auction house, sorry, a fraction of what you could get from the auto show, and it could be already fully built. Or you could just get it for less than you could get it in the auto show anyway, and then build it yourself. So that's the first thing. The first thing that caught my eye was this 2018 Mustang GT that was kind of styled to look like Razor's Mustang from Need for Speed Most Wanted 2005. And that game really held a lot of great memories for me. I played through that game probably 3 times-ish. I also modded that game. Like, this was long before I ever did YouTube. This is when I was just like, you know, a little kid. This was before I basically even knew how to drive. But, well, I take that back, because I was driving, like, my parents' cars around, like, the driveway at the time. So I knew how to move a car around, but I didn't really know the first thing about actually driving. So, regardless, this car definitely stood out to me, and I had to go ahead and pick it up. And my goal was to pick up 3 cars that stood out to me for under 40,000 credits. This car was the first one. Now, I honestly think that we stole it at 22,000 credits. I honestly think that we stole that car, because it's such a crazy deal, especially because it came with that paint job. It came with wheels, it came with the paint job, came with a couple other things, and it was just like, I need this. It was one of those I need to get this moments, like, or I'm completely and totally missing out. Now, I didn't even realize this until looking back, but I think that other Mustang up there was kind of styled like the one from the Need for Speed movie. But this Cadillac ATS-V actually stood out to me a little bit as well, and this car was weird because it doesn't have any sort of crazy design, but I kind of went out on a limb with this car and was thinking to myself, well, it might have some sort of crazy tune on it, or like some sort of crazy like drift setup. I didn't think that, based on the PI, I was pretty certain that it wasn't going to be a circuit car or like a road race car. I was pretty certain that if it was going to be anything, it was either going to be somebody's personal project that they just put up for sale, or a drift car. And so what I did, by the way, with all of these cars, these 3 cars that I acquired, I went and drifted them afterwards just to kind of see what they were capable of. Because ultimately what I was looking for was drift cars. But at the end of the day, trying them out in terms of drifting was kind of just a way for me to gauge, what the cars actually were for, what they were tuned for, what they were built for, and just kind of, you know, look a little bit deeper into what I found. So, looking around, there were a couple more things that caught my eye, nothing too crazy, until I saw this Abarth 595SS with a Domino's pizza design on it. Now, this car is weird and crazy, and it's like, it's one of those cars that you kind of just have to pick it up. You know what I mean? You see it, and you're like, I am missing out if I don't buy this car. 19,000 credits, I think we got quite a deal on it. I mean, like, especially if you consider, you know, how crazy this thing is, and for what, like, the amount of credits it would have taken to rebuild this car, we got one hell of a steal on it. I mean, it's all-wheel drive converted, pretty much the widest wheel and tire setup you can fit into one of these cars, and it really just kind of is all about that idea of just crazy and weird. Like, it's not really built for any one thing. You know, you're not going to go out and set records with it. You're not going to go out and win races with it. But, well, you might, depending on what kind of race you're in. But you're more just going to take it out and have fun. So moving on to the driving now, I'm really excited to show you guys what this car is all about. So as you can see and hear, this car is pretty crazy. It's tiny, it shoots in and out of, you know, tight spaces very, very quickly, and this is when I discovered that it was all-wheel. Well, not really this was when I discovered it pretty early on, but this is when I discovered that I wasn't a particular, like, fan of the tune, at least for drifting, because with something this small, with all-wheel drive, you have to be really particular with the tune and how you set it up, you know, if you want to use it for drifting. Because with the way this car is set up right now, the tune is set up to basically pull it back into a straight line as quickly as possible when you get on the power when you're sideways. Now, normally in an all-wheel drive car, that's a good thing. That's what you want it to do. But if you want to keep the car sideways, especially if it's all-wheel drive, it's going to be a little bit tricky to do with a drivetrain and differential setup like that. So if you can manage to keep it sideways for long enough, you'll actually end up with a pretty good car. I mean, like, you'll actually end up scoring a lot more points than you think you will. And honestly, I was kind of surprised. I looked down as we were coming through this corner. I was like, wow, we're already over like 70,000 points. And while that's nowhere close to being any sort of like record-breaking score, I was pretty proud of this little car for being able to do that. And I think that yes, it can do more, but is it intuitive for that? No. Is it meant for that? No. But is it sure as hell a lot of fun to use for that? Yeah, it 100% is. There's really nothing you can use this car for that you won't enjoy and you won't have fun doing. And that's what makes this car so cool to me. So swapping over to the ATS-V now, the ATS-V is a very weird car, and it's a very underappreciated car, just because it's kind of always been in the shadow of the CTS-V. It's always had to live in the shadow of the CTS-V, because the CTS-V is this, you know, crazy V8 supercharged car that everybody wants one. Like, everybody's always looking, like, you know, looking at these cars and going like, oh my god, those are so crazy. And then you look at the ATS-V and a lot of people just go, it's a V6 coupe, whatever. But there's a lot more to it than that. And by the way, I know that drift run looked insanely sloppy, and the biggest reason why that was so insanely sloppy is because to be brutally honest, I expected this car to drive differently than it did on that run. And I actually thought about cutting that run out, but I didn't. And I didn't specifically because I wanted you guys to see my first experience with the car, because I expected it to be a certain way, and it wasn't. Now, first time I went into this corner, way overdid it with the speed. Went crazy wide, but the thing is, the gearing is weird, and when you put it in third, it's got like just on the edge of enough power to keep it moving. So it seems like the tires are way too wide for this particular application and for the amount of power that the car's making. It either feels like it needs more power or less tire. That's what I felt from my time in the car anyway. And that's what I would do if it was my tune and if it was my build. I would either reduce the amount of rear tire or add power. Honestly, I would probably add power because it just feels a little bit, or you can mess with the gearing. But messing with gearing will only do so much. You're going to either have to mess with the contact patch or mess with the power levels at a certain point. So keeping with the theme of, you know, kind of giving this car a second chance, I went back the other way. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go into it with an open mind. I'm going to see what I can do with this car. And it was still pretty sloppy. I'm not going to lie. It was still pretty sloppy. And I just really couldn't get in a rhythm with this car. I know that some cars take longer to get in a rhythm with than others. But this car was, for some reason, especially tricky. It was especially tricky to get a rhythm with. And it was especially tricky to just kind of feel like, you know, get to the point where you feel like it's dialed in. I often found myself overcooking my drifts to where they were either not quite enough and I would get grip again, or I would do too much and overcook the angle, and then your drift would just be done and over with. So that was why I just drove the rest of this run, because I was like, you know what, I'm just kind of done with that. I'm gonna cut it right there. But at the end of the day, it's a really cool platform. Yes, it's underappreciated. This was probably, though, my least favorite car from this particular auction house run. Now, moving on to what was probably my personal favorite car from this particular auction house adventure is this Mustang GT. Now, this car is really, really fun. It behaves like a Mustang GT, to be fair. It doesn't feel or drive like it has a drift suspension on it. It honestly, I threw it into this drift zone expecting it to have a drift suspension on it, and I didn't really check ahead of time, and I was surprised to find out that it did not. So I was kind of just like, where's my angle? Where's my angle? Come on, guys. Where's my oh, you don't have it. So that's the biggest thing with this car is I went into it and I was like, I am missing something here, and I'm missing something big time, and that ended up being the angle kit. So I think this car would be awesome with an angle kit. I love the paint job. I love the nostalgia that comes with that paint job. I just think that as a platform, like, it could do so much better in terms of drifting with that angle kit, and I kind of wonder why it wasn't put on the car. I mean, it just seems like it was lightly customized, painted, and then sold. And I still think we got a great deal on it. I really, really do. I think it's a wonderful platform, and I love the fact that we just got it with this design. But at the end of the day, I think that there's a couple different things that, yes, that would have made it better, but I still think it was a great deal, and I still think cars like this, the fact that cars like this are on the auction house just up for grabs and to be had should be, like, that should be the reason right there for you guys to go straight to the auction house. Literally, if you're watching this video and you have Forza turned on, go straight to the auction house, jump on there. I completely screwed up that entry and screwed up that run, but if you're playing Forza right now and you have this video up, dude, go into the auction house right now and see what you can find, and I'll be doing a lot more of these videos where we do more than one car in the video. We do multiple cars. We do basically auction house, like, effectively just like bargain, like, hunting basically on the auction house, but we're trying to find the craziest cars that we can for, like, you know, under a certain amount of credits. And it's a really cool challenge. It's a fun thing to do, and I enjoy doing it. So I hope you guys enjoy these videos as well, because I enjoy making them. So if y'all enjoyed this video, make sure you click that like button. Tell me in the comment section below what you guys thought of it, and if you have any suggestions for what you guys would like to see me do here on the channel, please leave them down below. And make sure you do subscribe for more, turn on those notifications, and I'll see y'all next time. Talk to you guys later.